What am I am practicing. I am learning this morning. So if you are here for, what is all of this? Okay, that's funny. That's not what I want. And that is, oh, there is an automatic chat translation on here. Hold on. Okay, so let's see. Let me see. Okay, because I can't send this. How do I? Let's see if she comes in, or hopefully she doesn't stand me up. I don't want to create a highlight. And she's coming. Oh, this conversation can go either way because I don't think either one of us have had enough coffee this morning, or we've been up at the crack of dawn. All right, come hell or high water, we're going to learn something today. And I'm all about learning new things. Oh, it would be funny if I would get stood up. All right, so I can flip it. I can do, what are effects? I don't see the thing. I see someone there, but I don't see. All right, if you can hear me, okay, it's telling me all messages. All right, so I'm looking. Okay, I think you have to comment. I don't know what it's telling me that you're doing. If you can hear me, lady. I'm not getting a notification. So let's see. Okay, so there you are, but it's not at, okay, wait, hold on. I see you. Hold on. Oh, it has an option to put a user in timeout. So I see you there, and it's not giving me the option this time. How horrible is that? Okay, give me a minute. Flip mute, picker, sticker, hide video. I don't want to hide the video. Is there a button there for you to select to join? Because it popped up yesterday. No, I can't. You can't. So my friend is supposed to be joining me on this live. Thank you. I am having a great day. Is supposed to be joining me on this live, but now I'm sweating and nervous because she can't join, and she's asking me to, girl, if you, no, stop. Okay, y'all, if I hang with the what open panel, others are watching the stream to interact with it. Yeah, but okay. So we are learning. Hi everyone. My name is Courtney. I actually have been working and teaching tech to Black and Brown people for over 20 years. YouTube is not my thing. It hasn't been my thing, but I have been challenging myself to use YouTube. And every single time I step away and I come back, YouTube has new features. So yesterday when I did a live, there was a feature that was allowing me to invite someone to join. So, of course, that wasn't the plan yesterday. And here I am today, and I have a special guest, but we can't figure out how to get her to join. So, we are all learning today because that would save so much time. How's everybody doing this morning? Because I have been up since like 2 o'clock this morning, and she didn't go to bed until 1 o'clock this morning. Is there like something going on with the moon or anything? I see there's like 6 people watching. Do y'all have any questions for me? What are you watching for? Like, give me something to talk about until we can figure this out. Unless there's someone on here that can out tech me. Is there anything you all would like to know about technology and like how I earn my living as a digital nomad here, how I got started in tech? Because I didn't go to school for tech. I don't even have a college degree. How about that? I barely passed high school. I started learning about tech by default because I'm very stubborn, and my ex-husband was the web designer. I feel something on my lip right here. Anyway, my ex-husband was a web designer for Fender guitars. And what was I doing at the time? I wasn't a housewife or anything. I was working somewhere. Thank you. If I look gorgeous, listen, I have gray hair that I hide under not like intentionally hide under my bangs, but I have gray hair right here. And I was being followed around at the grocery store here the other day, right? It was very interesting because the grocery store that I had went to that day isn't really crowded, but it was all men in there in the afternoon. It was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was all men in there. And ladies, we know when a guy is like trying to get up the courage to say something, and they didn't know that I don't speak Portuguese. So I noticed that they would like follow me down an aisle, like an aisle that they don't need to be down, like the aisle with the tampons or something or whatever, right? Trying to figure it out. But they were all younger than I was. So I started thinking about it. And then I was like, I think men here really have a thing for older women. And when I say older, I'm like 51. But now I have to, how is this conversation? So now I have 15 people viewing. I'm just rambling this morning because I'm trying to figure out how to get a friend on here. And so, anyway, so these men are following me around, but you don't see a lot of women, like, unless they're like a lot older, like 71 or something, or 70s with gray hair. A lot of people color. You will notice that there are a lot of people with gorgeous hair, but you will find a lot of people color their hair. So you'll find a lot of like jet black hair and then the like bleached blonde kind of streaks. Thank you. I am 51. So, yeah, I think it's something kind of like different that they see someone with like gray hair who's not covering the gray, because my gray are stubborn. So, inside joke. So, I have been gray along my edges like my grandfather for quite some time. And since I am always talking about Brazil, you will find hair color here anywhere, tons of different hair color. And it's mostly just black. It's just a lot of different brands. But anyway, so my edges have been gray for quite some time. And if you have gray edges or gray hair, you know that gray hair is literally very stubborn. And so my old tribe and I had a joke that we have ancestor edges. And ancestor edges are those edges that are not going to lie down with no amount of gel. So that is my little witchy gray that's happening right here. Okay, so no one can help us figure out how I can get her to. Does anybody else want to go live with me? What wild person out there? Because on my profile here on YouTube, I had literally said that I moved to Brazil with no plan and no backup plan, very little money. I did not think this through at all whatsoever. So if anyone is willing to take a leap of faith and go out on the edge, girl, I cannot see this photo. And if anyone is willing to take a leap of faith and go live with me, I am willing to chat with anyone about anything as long as you don't. Actually, the morning started. Would you like for me to tell you how the morning started? The morning started with me getting a message about certain pics that people send. All right, so I still don't see it, and I'm just going to keep talking. If it hangs up, I do apologize. I don't see it. How are y'all doing this morning? What do y'all work? Are y'all working? Where are y'all located? Because it's like 7 o'clock in the morning here, which means that people are typically on route to work. If you are in the United States, I'm going to assume that it's earlier. Do y'all like y'all jobs? Do y'all hate y'all jobs? I literally, when did I quit my job the first time? Actually, funny story, I ended up divorced. My ex-husband divorced me because I quit my job. How did I find out that I was divorced? He decided that he was going to file for divorce while he was at lunch at work. He didn't tell me. I didn't suspect anything. He didn't even tell me when he got home from work that he filed for divorce. This is a great story. So, side note, make sure if you don't know me and you haven't subscribed, please come back and subscribe, because I remembered a crazy story the other day about the time that I was selected to be on the show Naked and Afraid. If you've never seen the show Naked and Afraid, that's literally where they drop people off in random places and take them in the middle of nowhere with no clothes on. Anywho, some of the casting people found me on Instagram once because I was making fires at that point. I was in my like wild feral woman mode phase or whatever. And I was just documenting all the weird shit that I was doing, like teaching myself how to make a fire and collecting wood and building structures and homes and shit or whatever, right? Oh, Q&A, add a Q&A sticker, favorite road trip snack. Back to Naked and Afraid. I don't have a road trip snack. I am known as the friend that people have to carry snacks with. So when I go out with my friends, everyone knows that someone better have a fucking snack in their bag for me. So there's that. So, but anyway, so they found me on Instagram and they invited me to fill out all this information about the show Naked and Afraid. And then you go through these phases. So, right, you fill out, you get the invitation, you fill out this information. And then when you fill out the information, I guess someone reviews it. And then you go to the next phase. And then they have someone call you. And then you go through this interview phase. And then after the interview phase of like the casting members, you then are interviewed by like specialists, like what do you call those people? Like survival specialists. And they have a different survival specialist for each like little area. So they have a survival specialist that will interview you for hunting. They have a survival specialist that'll interview you for building housing structures, living structures. They have a survival specialist for gathering food or whatever, right? So I think I was doing pretty good until they introduced me to the survival specialist who was responsible for interviewing me for how to build a structure out in the wilderness. Okay, y'all, let me tell you something. I am a city girl. I am not a country girl. I am country by blood, but I was born and raised in the city. I spent my summers in rural America, but I'm not a country girl. But I'm always like curious about certain things. And when something gets my curiosity, I just like go all the way in. And again, this was just my phase of me being feral and wild and running around barefoot and braless. So the guy proceeds to ask me about, it wasn't a question of, did I know how to build a structure to protect myself from the elements if I was out in the wilderness naked. He asked me, get this, and was insulting to me because as someone with indigenous heritage, I'm Black, obviously, right? But my people are Choctaw, Cherokee. He proceeded to ask me, but what do you name this structure? I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? What name? Does it fucking matter? Do I need to know the westernized name that you have assigned to something before I can be approved to go on the show? And the answer was basically yes. And I'm sure, hopefully, maybe there are some of you out there who know all about this, right? Because someone can read a book and someone can learn the formal names of emergency structures out in the wilderness to protect yourself from the elements. But that does not necessarily mean because you can memorize the name of the different types of structures. And I hear someone right now literally like saying, so here's the other thing. And yes, I am rambling. I have my coffee. Every morning in my coffee, I have honey, I have cayenne pepper, and then coffee. But the other topic that I was going to come back and actually talk about was what it's been like being a psychic in a foreign country and you don't speak the language. That has also been interesting. And that does not mean intentionally doing readings. So yes, I am in tech. I am not a survivalist or a prepper or a nature type of person. I'm very adaptable and curious and stubborn and resilient and country with a lot of city and heart and all the things. But I am also psychic. So prior to being a professional psychic is actually what led me to rural America and picking up sticks and building structures and making shoes and starting fires. And that is how they found me from the casting. The casting people found me from Naked and Afraid. I know, crazy fucking stories. You wouldn't believe them unless you believe them, unless you have been on my journey with me. So being a psychic here, I was wondering how that was going to work out prior to me arriving. And it doesn't make a difference because for so long I have been telling people energy doesn't have a color. Energy doesn't see color. It doesn't see color. But of course, I could only prove that through, American experiences and the lens of being an American who had never lived abroad or anything like that. But getting here and proving that. So once I left the city and I moved to, actually, I started reading people prior to me moving to the city. And they did not know English. They do not know English. And I don't know Portuguese. So what would be happening is in the middle of using Google Translate, I would get some insight about something. And then I would have to then decide on how I'm going to ask that person and explain to them that I am a psychic, that I'm a reader, and that I am getting some information about them. Because I always do try to ask for permission. Surprisingly, people have been very um, accepting and open to it, right? So the way that works has basically been like, oop, excuse me, I'm sorry, pause. I'm getting some information here about you. Can I share that with you? And then when someone says yes, and then I say it, and then they start crying. So sometimes I will find myself in the middle of nowhere with someone that I don't know, and we don't share an urgent update. On that note, I'm going to go finish my coffee. And lesson learned, apparently, it's not always available to do a live with someone and a recording. But thank you all for staying with me during this experiment. And maybe I'll come back and actually finish off those stories. But for now, it is rainy season here in Brazil, and today is clear. I am looking over the water, and there are some low-lying clouds. It's not as windy as it was the other day. Let's see, there's not really any surfers out at this point. And I do have to go to the grocery store today, and I will probably buy the same thing that I always buy. Are any of you actually thinking about moving to Brazil? Have any of you ever been to Brazil? If you have been to Brazil, where have you been to Brazil? And are you looking to live in the interior or near a beach or in a busy city or in a small town? Um, yeah, I think that's it. All right, y'all have a great morning.